The opinions, viewpoints, and beliefs presented on this program do not necessarily reflect those of the management, the affiliates and broadcast partners, or the sponsors. Listener discretion is advised.
Yeah?
Look into my eyes and I will tell you I don't wanna be everything that you do. Show me what you think, show me what you feel. I don't wanna be the one to say it's not real. Come on, little girl, take me by the hand.
Yeah, you're my ride, good. Come on in.
You everything you don't understand.
Everything okay?
Yeah.
I'm just tired of this. You sure you're doing okay?
Yeah.
Okay. Alright, let's go. Make sure you put on your seatbelt.
Please let me go. Please.
And after that delightful little video, welcome everyone to Scarefest Radio. The original broadcast date is July 5th, 2019. I hope everyone came through the July 4th holiday, Independence Day holiday, with their digits intact. Tonight, my co-host is Mr. Jason Boyd, still reasonably alive, and there he is. And then our guest tonight, we want to thank tonight our guest, Mr. Sam Mason. Hello, Sam, and welcome to the show.
Hey, guys. Thank you so much for having me on. It's a pleasure to be here.
So, you know what? We're getting really good guests by asking them like the day before. We got to just keep doing this. This is working out really well for us. Okay, everybody, let's go down and get the business out of the way, as they say. First things first. Of course, you could be watching at scarefestradio.com, but you won't be chatting with us. The chat room is down tonight. No, it's not your computer. No, it's not your internet connection. For some internet reason, the chat room at scarefestradio.com is not functioning tonight. So, if you want to talk to us, we are trying vigorously to monitor all of the Facebook feeds. The Facebook feeds, we will have people trying to monitor them. So if you have a question during the course of the show, there is at least a remote chance we will see it on Facebook tonight. We do have celebrity announcements tonight. We have 3. Yes, the teaser said 4. But in the process of finding out that certain I's were not dotted, T's crossed, and fluffy bunny mints put on pillows, one of the contracts wasn't quite done. So we ended up with 3, but there are 3 good celebrity announcements. You will be happy. 3 good celebrity announcements tonight for Scarefest XII, Scarefest 12, Scarefest 2019. I think that's it for my announcements. Because we're not appearing anywhere this weekend, and we got so it's pretty much just me, Jason, and Sam. Okay, Sam. First of all, just go ahead and clear this up for me. On your Facebook feed and many of the interviews, you go by Sam Iam Mason.
Yes, sir. I sure do. Okay,
now in your credits, so on the movie, it always says Sam Mason Production, Sam Mason Director. Okay.
Correct.
Is that a nickname? Did your parents have a sense of humor? Please tell me where Sam Iam came from.
Actually, I hated it when I was a kid. Absolutely hated people calling me Sam Iam. It, kind of went into the whole, Dr. Seuss thing.
Right.
So what happened for me was it wasn't until about almost 10 and a half years ago now, when I got sober, that my sponsor looked at me and he said, if I was to talk to Joe Blow over here and explain to him who you are, what would I say? And at that point in time, I had been so lost for so long, I didn't know who I was anymore. And so when I got my 1-year medallion, he asked me the same question. And by that point, I'd, gone through the steps. I'd gotten had a little bit of sobriety behind me. And, he asked me the same question. And by that point, I was able to understand and start, grasping who I was as a person again. So I had an answer for me. And he actually gave me the nickname Sam Iam.
That was, for such a flippant way for me to ask that question, that was a beautiful answer. So that sets the tone for the interview. I'm going to be the dick, and he's going to be the artful, the artist involved. So okay, let's go ahead. I want to go ahead and get into your project now. First of all, Normal Terror. Now that is the trailer that we watched at the beginning of the show. Normal Terror. Now scheduled to come out in October, correct?
Currently, we're shooting for a Halloween release. Yes.
Okay. Now, everyone, the trailer. I watched the trailer, Sam, and I like what I saw, but I didn't get a feel for the story. Fortunately, you do have a website up for it that everybody, if you want to play the home version, it's sacrificialpawnproductions.com. That tells you a lot about it.
Yep, I posted the chat in the Facebook chat here that's up and running. I posted the link there too, so they can check it out.
Okay, and then also, actually, the best plot summary I saw though is on the IMDb page for Normal Terror. So basically, what the concept behind this, everyone, and I'm going to tell you, I like this storyline. I like this storyline because it feels very original. By day, he's a single father doing his best to take care of his son, struggling to get by. The magic happens after he puts his son to bed, when the man becomes a monster. And then that's where all the makeup effects that were very impressive in the trailer, by the way.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Now, that's a weird way of segueing into this. On this particular project, you are, I understand, the writer, director, and you, of course, the star of it.
That is correct. I'm also producing it, doing special effects, lighting, set design, as much as I possibly can.
And handing out donuts and all that good stuff.
Yeah, pretty much.
I want to start with the writer aspect. Where does this story come from? This is okay. And the reason I'm asking it this way, Jason and I were talking before the show. There is nothing new under the sun. It just so much of the stuff coming in all genres, not just horror, but it just, I mean, first of all, a lot of it's just plain old reboots and remakes, but nothing feels original. But this feels like a very original story, and that's why I ask it that way. Now you may continue.
For me, the writing aspect of it, I've developed this story over the last 12 years. I worked on 401 Liberation Front with Bill Rice, and he kind of became my mentor, and I credit him for me becoming a filmmaker. I fell in the process of how things go from concept to script to screen. And so I started writing my own ideas and working those out, little by little, here and there. And I kind of put, acting on the back burner after I finished up 4-1. And, so I was actually talking to my associate producer and one of my best friends, Jeremy Miller, who happens to be Ben Seaver from the TV show Growing Pains. And he had a couple of ideas that he was talking about, and so we were sitting there and we were bullshitting, and I just started pitching him a couple of ideas, and he's like, let me get you in contact with somebody. So he introduced me to somebody, and we sat down and we talked for about an hour and a half, and he said, you really need to get writing on this. Mind you, this is 12 years later, so I've developed the stories in my head for a very long time. And so I actually sat down and I wrote it in less than 30 days. But there's a lot of things that I'm doing different with this film. One of the things you mentioned was the trailer and how it's different than anything else you've seen. It didn't really give you a storyline. That first sizzle reel that I put out, I didn't want a storyline. I wanted something that was different than everything else, something that would grab your attention. It gave you some highlights of what we're doing, what we're capable of doing. And I wanted it to make people feel very uneasy, very uncomfortable.
Now, this is my canned question that I always ask you combo people, as they say, whenever, especially when it's a writer and the producer. Now, director, you can direct a lot of stuff. I know nothing about the film industry. But, now they always told me that you write like you have unlimited budget. In other words, whatever you would like to see on screen, that's what you write. Now, eventually the plane crash becomes somebody tripping over a pop bottle, when the budgetary restraints kick in. Did your background being able to walk this from beginning to end, did that help with that, or did you also suffer from that, where when you hit the harsh reality of having to deal in the real world, that you didn't get to, I don't want to say fully realize your vision, but did you have to, what's the word I'm looking for? Cheat it a little bit.
In all honesty, no. We're still in production. We still have a lot to film, and we actually have a shoot coming up here in about 2 weeks as the opening of the film. But the cool thing about being a writer, producer, and the actor and director as well on this is that I can follow it through to meet my my creative outlook on it. We're also doing all of our special effects in house. My makeup artist and my my partner Steven Stonecipher and Stone Mason Special Effects. Marisol Almeida, my makeup artist, is phenomenal in bringing my vision to life. And so I really don't have to cut any corners, so to speak, or cheat, as you said, in order to make my vision a reality. It may take a little bit longer to get done. We are currently looking for investors. We're offering a great return on investment package right now. But I don't want to give up that creative freedom. I don't want to cut corners because there's so many things out there now that do nothing but cut corners. You mentioned, an original idea. I don't want the same old thing. I'm a horror fan first and foremost. So, I'm tired of seeing the same old thing, the same old rebranding, the same old, same old. So I wanted to come up with something, completely different and off the books, which is what I'm doing with Normal Terror.
Everyone, we're going to take our first commercial break. When we come back, I'm going to turn it over to Jason. Of course, in the midst of all that, we will have our first celebrity announcement. Everybody, we will be right back.
Have you checked out the Mama Ruby's family of metaphysical and spiritual shows? The Mystical Fair in Lexington, Kentucky, Lexington's only monthly psychic and holistic healing arts fair. The Inner Light Festivals in Louisville in June and Lexington in November. And watch for Mama Ruby's Expo coming in 2020. Plus, Mama Ruby's Meta Lecture Series featuring interesting guests speaking on fascinating subjects. Start your journey now at mamarubies.com for more information.
And welcome back, everybody, to Scarefest Radio. Little reminder, the next Mystical Fair in Lexington, July 13th and 14th, next weekend, in the holistic arts, you can get foot detox, all manner of alternative healings. There's all kinds of people doing that. Psychic mediums. If you've got a curiosity, if you've never had a psychic reading, if you're curious about it, this is the place to go. Mystical Fair was where I got my very first ever psychic reading. So they've got a lot of talented people in there. No pressure. You walk in, you get an appointment, or you can book it online. Plus free seminars. Just go and show up and watch a free seminar. But check out mysticalfairlex.com. Mysticalfairlex.com. Now the moment I know many of you have, the only damn reason you tuned in. The reason many of you are watching tonight. Our first celebrity announcement of the evening. Ms. Tawny Kitane. I knew I'd mess it up. Tawny Kitane. Now, of course, I remember her. I guess the first time she came on my radar was Bachelor Party. Bachelor Party. Although I did go back, I have watched The Perils of Gwendolyn. I don't remember a lot about the movie, but I do remember renting that on VHS. I distinctly remember watching that movie, and I think it's because I thought she was so damn hot in Bachelor Party. But she is coming, and of course, Witchboard. And if you want the horror chops, yeah, she did Witchboard, and everybody knows her as the lady on the hood of Whitesnake's car. That is Tawny Kitane, and she's coming to Scarefest XII, Scarefest 12, Scarefest 2019. Jason, over to you.
Sam, it's been a pleasure. Like I said, I know you showed me a trailer for the Normal Terror a while back, I think, and you were still getting everything together and stuff on it. So, and of course, I was impressed back then. So I'm excited to see the finished product once it's done. And you also do special effects, right? I mean, don't you? I see some credits here for Evil Lurks. If you do some other stuff on the side, I mean, as far as like other films or shorts or anything.
Yeah, I've got a couple of different projects I'm working on as far as just the special effects go. You mentioned Evil Lurks. My buddy Aaron Hawkins, who actually commented on the link down below, had mentioned said hey and whatnot. So I was kind of replying to him a little bit while we were in the commercial. But I'm doing the prosthetic for his character called the Shman. So I'm doing a prosthetic for that, and then I'm also working on a program called an episodic called Winter Haven, where I'm doing the mask of the killers. So we're definitely doing a lot of different things. I'm trying to get as much as I can done, and work on as many projects as I can, and just have fun with it. This is my passion, this is my love. So it's not just my project, but any other project I can help bring to life, I'm absolutely stoked for.
And so the Sacrificial Pawn, though, I was looking up the so you guys have been in business for like 20 something years now. Is that right?
We have not actually been in business for that long. Between myself, Marisol Almeida, and Steven Stonecipher, we have 20 years of experience between us.
Gotcha.
And so that's where that number comes in.
Okay. Yeah, because as I say, that's that's pretty impressive. Because I mean, most companies and stuff you see have 2 or 3 years experience. So that's so 20 years experience is definitely something that that's pretty impressive. As far as have you got some other things that you're working on that you kind of have kind of under the radar right now that you haven't announced yet that you maybe want to kind of pitch out there and get a few bites on?
Yeah, absolutely. Like I said, we're still looking for investors to finish up, Normal Terror. But I've got 6 other scripts ready to go as soon as I finish Normal Terror. And then of course all the other stuff that I'm working on. I have a bit part in, a recurring role with Winter Haven. With Jack Saint. And then, of course, Evil Lurks. I've talked to Aaron Hawkins about doing some stuff. We have The Butcher that's coming out this year. We just wrapped on that, I think, a week or two ago. Sacrificial Pawn Productions and Moose Track Productions teamed up on that one with Michael Moutsatsos. It's his baby, and I was lucky enough to co-star in that film. It's been, a pleasure and a blast to do that. It's really pushed my method acting to a whole new level, and being able to play that really off the wall, scary, creepy guy. And I was actually just corrected. It's Jack Saint Hunter. So my apologies, Jack. Love you, brother. And then I have a drama film that I'm doing called Undrafted. I play a coach in that. And I think one of the most the fun things about what I do is that I get to work with my son. He's done 3 films with me now. Whether it be an apprentice of mine or whether it be, just another character in the film, I've had a lot of fun working with my kid on TV.
So yeah, that's where that sounds awesome because I can't get mine to take a decent picture. So he usually has some stupid smirk or he's looking the other way. So that's
right.
you get acting right now. That's a talent right there. So.
He actually didn't want to do Normal Terror. He didn't want to be my co-star. And, it's, the way that we work, together and the way that I wrote the script out, because as you and I have talked before, 98% of it is improv. And that's another thing that makes this film so different than anything else. The first time that we're going through the scene and what you guys see in film is the first time that the actors are going through it, which I think gives it a whole lot more organic feel and a lot more, natural, reactions to everything. I think it's going to give it a whole lot more realism, which is something I think that's been lacking from horror in the last, 15 years or so.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Because, it seems like everything is remakes or reboots, so that's why that, I support you guys and everything that you do, especially, with indie, low budget shorts. I support all of that because, I've seen far more original ideas and things, especially like I said with Normal Terror. That's more of a realistic, I guess, outtake on horror. So that's what to me I find it more terrifying than say, monster movies or an undead killer wears a hockey mask, that kind of thing.
And one of the things, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. And one of the things that's different about this film as well is that it's from the serial killer's point of view before he's caught. So there's no cops, no investigation, no backstory. It doesn't explain why he does what he does. It just literally is about him and the difficulties that he's having raising his kid and the things that he does, when his kid's not around.
So let me ask you this: what got you into horror films and things? Is it something you had a passion for since you were a kid, or just kind of developed into it, or?
As far as making my own, it's something that I developed into. The first script that I ever wrote was a psychological thriller. Which I have in the process of, writing that and finishing that to get that one made, somewhere down the line. But I love horror. The first horror film I ever watched was Children of the Corn. It scared the hell out of me. It's kind of cheesy and campy now. I look back at it with everything that we've, talked about and discussed and, where horror's gone since the 60s and 70s to now. There's a lot more, we've gotten acclimated to a lot of disturbing things. So I wanted to do something that's very psychological and really pushes the boundaries of the mind, more so than just adding the gore for gore's sake.
Yes, because the psychological thrillers, and that's the thing. And I'm probably getting a lot of hate mail for this one, but I'm sick of the paranormal and the demonic possession stuff. So that's why a lot, and especially like you said, psychological terrors, are, I personally find them more horrifying because that's something that could really happen. I mean, what is it, the statistics? You walk by a serial killer, so many times in your life, you walk past somebody that either has the potential to be one or is one. So, you don't really think about that in the grand scheme of things. But then, you have people that, like you put movies out like that, people go, well, it's, that could easily happen. I mean, we've had a string of disappearances in like a couple towns about an hour away from here. And so, stuff like that's, it's scary and and that's something that nobody really, ever really puts much thought into. I mean, I would come more of fearing somebody that's going to, snap on these days and come in and kill a bunch of people than a ghost or, or the demon or whatever. Like I said, of course, that's just my opinion on that. So,
Right.
What would you, I mean, as far as like, do you guys, as far as like, do you see this kind of becoming like a series, maybe like different characters later on, maybe the son taking over the role, or, I mean, can you reveal that much information?
I currently have 3 planned for this series thus far. So I do have an addition to the second one that's going to go into the more psychological aspects and why he does what he does and why he chose the victims he does. But I'm not revealing that in the first one. I want the audience to walk out of this first one and look at the person next to him and wonder what if. Because when I was doing all of my research on serial killers, is just one thing that's always fascinated me. When I started doing, thinking about this project and developing this project, is that they were very charismatic people. They were very, charming, very personable. And so they were the last person that were ever expected to do the types of things that they were actually doing. So that's kind of the life that I'm bringing to the serial killer in Normal Terror.
So did you have any particular like serial killer or maybe like maybe 2 or 3 that you kind of did like an amalgam of to put together this character with, or?
I'm definitely paying homage to 80s style horror with this. Ed Gein is one of my favorites.
Mm-hmm.
As far as serial killers go. The stuff that he did was absolutely atrocious. I'm not supporting that in any way, but it happened. There are sick people that do a lot of sick shit out there. And I happen to enjoy researching it and finding out, for me, it's more about the psychological aspects and why they did what they did, more so than, the fact of what they did. So Ed Gein is definitely one of them. Norman Bates is another one that I kind of looked at in the style of what he did, because I have 8 murders in this film. And each one of them is different. The MO is completely different. The way that they're killed is different. The abductions are all different. Not one of them is the same because, this character is a very smart character that doesn't want to get caught. And so, when I was thinking about that realistically, well, if I wanted this to happen, and I really thought about doing this, how would I go about it? And you look at the Green River Killer. He was never caught. But every one of the MOs was completely different. Nothing attached them to each other so that anybody could connect the dots.
Yeah, especially like there was the Zodiac Killer. I think they never did catch either. Mm-hmm. So I mean,
right.
Of course, they always
Jack the Ripper.
Yeah, and they always say you'll never hear of the perfect murder. You'll never actually hear of it because, well, I mean, it's perfect. So,
Mm-hmm.
The fact that these guys, managed to kill as many people as they did and get away with it is even more terrifying. So,
Right.
Yeah, I mean, the serial killer thing is something I guess I got into at a later age. I got more into slasher films. I started out with zombies. That was always a thing for me, was zombies. But my uncle and my mom kind of slowly introduced me into the whole, Friday the 13th, Texas Chainsaw Massacre. So, and obviously I was always fascinated by how, where they base these characters from. So when you said Ed Gein, I mean, a lot of these characters are rooted in Ed Gein somehow. Norman Bates, Leatherface,
Right.
And of course, as you progress throughout the films and stuff, you hear more Ed Gein style,
Mm-hmm.
I guess his, whatever you want to call them, quirks or whatever.
Right.
But yeah, I guess Black
Quirks.
Yeah, there's personality falls there. I think Wes, it's time for a commercial. I think.
This actually does reflect Ed Gein very closely, because Ed Gein was great with children. He was great with children. We've established that on the show. Everybody, we're going to take a quick commercial break. We'll be right back with our next celebrity announcement.
Do you feel lost in life? Do you seem to be stuck in emotions that are not yours? Is your home not the sanctuary it should be? Contact Spirit Mechanics, where they take a team approach to your metaphysical and spiritual problems. Spirit Mechanics specializes in aura cleansing, stone attunement, attachment removal, and house cleansings. Spirit Mechanics tailors their approach to your individual spiritual path and needs. Find them every month at Lexington, Kentucky's Mystical Fair, mysticalfairlex.com, or on Facebook by searching Spirit Mechanics, that's MECHANIX. Spirit Mechanics, for your spiritual health and well-being.
Coyote Chris Sutton.
Shamanism,
Spiritual advisement.
paranormal investigations,
inspirational presentations,
Bringing light to the darkest places for over 20 years. Go to coyotechris.com to learn more.
And welcome back, everybody, to Scarefest Radio. I'm going to apologize if you can hear my dogs barking in the background, because, of course, this is the day after Independence Day, which is also in Kentucky known as Redneck Independence Day, when all the drunks shoot off the leftover fireworks. And that's it's got my dogs all tore up. Let's have a celebrity announcement. Coming back to Scarefest for second, third time. I've done lost count. John Kassir. John Kassir. Now, I'm thinking it was 2 years ago. He was scheduled. Matter of fact, we almost had him on the radio show. And he had to cancel at the last minute. But John Kassir, we've got him scheduled for this year. And so everybody get your answering machine messages ready, because that's what he does. But of course, you know him. Tales of the Crypt, Tales of the Crypt Keeper, and just a whole slew of other things with his super creepy voice that he can do. He was in Despicable Me. I did not know that. He did a voice for Despicable Me 3. So the I'm gonna go full on psychological with you. This is something that I've wondered about, and that's because I'm such a keen observer of the human condition. I'm watching people lose their fucking mind over nothing. Over just day-to-day trivialities. And in this world of political correctness, I might be an island in the sea. I worry about the future of horror movies, in that I'm worried about what is going to be allowed, what's going to be acceptable 5 or 10 years down the line. And part of this is, based on, there are people now that think Seinfeld was just the freaking Antichrist. I mean, a show like that, whose entire premise was showing what a dick this guy was, and now people are looking back and watching it and going, oh, you can't do that. You're a dick. So, have you thought about that? Is that anything you're worried about in the horror industry? Whether or not you'll continue to have the freedom to push the envelope like you're talking about?
If you really want me to be honest about it, I don't give a shit. That's the reality of it. I mean, some people are going to love my stuff. Some people are going to hate it. We did, I do a podcast with my co-host, Zombie Barbie, Rhiannon Nicole, and Lance Wagner. Who's a huge staple in the horror community and supporter of horror. Sacrificial Terror Productions, Sacrificial Terror Podcast. Honestly, we did a debate on John Carpenter's versus Rob Zombie's Halloween. And I think we had over 300 comments on that link because you either hate Rob Zombie or you love Rob Zombie. You know, and from a technical standpoint, and I'm sure I'm going to get a lot of hate mail for this one, you know, but from a technical filmmaker's standpoint, Rob Zombie's films are better, in my opinion. You know, John Carpenter was original, but he didn't really give you a whole lot. There was a lot of mystery back then. But also, the times when they did it, they weren't allowed to show a lot of the shit that you can show today. And, you know, so in 10 years, honestly, if I'm still making films at this, you know, at that point in time, and, you know, and I have a great career ahead of me, I hope, you know, with my cast and my crew and building an empire that, you know, we're working on, you know, I absolutely don't care. You know, people are going to love my stuff or they're going to hate it. And I'm okay with that because either way, they're going to put money in my pocket, whether they love it or hate it. You know, and ultimately I'm trying to give my son a better life. And so, you know, that it is what it is.
That's another thing. You and your son both have doppelgangers somewhere in Kentucky. When I pulled up your Facebook profile, I went, I know that guy. And then I saw, of course, you have a picture of you with your son. And I'm like, no, I know that kid. And I'm like, no, they're from California. I'm serious, dude. I ran into you at the Quickie Mart or something. Both you and your son. It's amazing. And another example I'll throw out to you, because this is such a realistic story, as we pointed out. When Netflix did the documentary, or not documentary, but a recreation of Ted Bundy's stuff,
right.
You know, they said the star was too good looking. It made him too attractive. And that was kind of the point. And which is something, you know, you've described this guy as the all-American dad during the day.
Right. Well, and I think that's one of the reasons that I'm doing it that way is because I think that's something that people can relate to more so nowadays than back in the day. There's a lot more single parents out there today. And I think they can understand going through the teenage years and they can relate to the character and the frustrations that I'm dealing with, you know, as a parent trying to, you know, to pay my bills, especially in California, you know, where the taxes and everything else are so damn high. You know, rent's high, food's high, everything's fucking high here. But, you know, you know, a lot of people can relate to that. There's a lot of single parents out there that are struggling to get by. You know, and given the right circumstances, anybody is capable of doing the horrible atrocities that this guy is going to be doing.
Well, now you just sent a chill down my spine. I like to think not anybody's. not anybody. Although I have to admit, a couple times I've really thought about going total serial killer. But I'd get caught, and I'd do terrible in prison. That's why I don't do it.
Speaking of the kid, there he is walking in the interview again.
So, I mean, you know, it's funny because I'm watching the Facebook chat and everybody's saying the same thing, you know, about, you know, nobody really cares about offending people and stuff. And I think they're right because, I mean, that's kind of how it is these days. I mean, you know, everybody's worried, are we going to offend somebody or, you know, we're going to upset somebody, you know? That's the nature of the world. You know, you're going to get upset. You're going to have things happen. It's going to suck.
I would agree with you if it wasn't for social media. But social media has become this club that just can beat down. In other words, beat down. Now, of course, the independent picture, you do get a little more freedom. But I mean, can beat down these studios. You know, I'll never watch another one of your and businesses are folding to it. In other words, they're capitulating. And that's what scares me, is to lose that freedom of expression. And I want to see the vision and I want to not give a damn, but I see it every damn day. The companies just, oh man, you cried, we're sorry. And so anyway, but that's my soapbox.
That's part of my MO when it comes to, especially my own personal page, is I piss off somebody every day or something.
So I tell tasteless jokes, but I realize that 50% of the people that watch this program do not agree with me politically. And see, and that works no matter what you do. No matter what you do, there are 50% of the people, just like you're talking about serial killers, walking past them, you're going to pass 36, and that's enough about my hallway mirror. But, the thought that, that I see so many people going on their soapboxes about what they don't like, about all types of things, and it just, I don't, and like I said, I blame social media. I really do think it is the end of civilization. But I saw on the internet the other day, cockroaches are ready to take over. They have become indestructible to pesticides. So we've got our replacements lined up. Don't fret everybody. Now, the one thing, and I was reading your bio here, Sam, that part of your roots, if you will, in the film industry actually came from your dad.
Yep. Absolutely.
I mean, your dad sounds like a hell of a cool guy, a professional movie stunt driver.
He was a very good man. Unfortunately, I lost him a little over 7 years ago. He was definitely a good guy. I mean, don't get me wrong, nobody's perfect. But I did get to see that kind of really cool shit when I was growing up, he brought home, he worked on and built the Coyote from Hardcastle McCormick, and he brought it home when he finished, getting it tuned up and ready for that. He did what's that?
I said, no shit, that's awesome. I love that show.
Yeah. He did a lot of stuff for Fall Guy. He did a lot of stuff for the A-Team, and, all those old nostalgia, 70s, shows when precision drivers weren't what they are today. He did a film called Black Moon Rising, which I recently discovered was, had like this amazing fucking director that's like into horror and shit. And I was like, what the hell is this? I had no clue. But it's like, I learned more and more about him. And actually one of the stories that I'm going to be making into a film is my dad's story, the greatest unknown race car driver.
Neat. Now, on another thing on your bio, now, of course, now you grew up with this influence, which I still think that would be the coolest thing when everybody else is, what's your dad do? Oh, he's a race car driver and a stuntman. But you served in the Army. Thank you for your service. Uh-huh. You worked as a security guard. So the question is, growing up with that Hollywood influence, if you will, did I never did get in your timeline? Did you actually step away from show business, as it were, or was it always something that you were close to, that you were finally able to go back and embrace fully, or did you really just was it so far on the back burner, did you ever stop thinking about it?
I really did. I did stop thinking about it a lot. When the years that I was battling my demons and, and fighting drug abuse and alcohol addiction, I really struggled with who I was and what I wanted to do. I bounced around from job to job. Construction has always been my go-to, and which is funny because the reason I was late this evening is because, I was a little bit late at work tonight, and I'm a set designer now. So I'm going back to my roots in that, and kind of intertwining the two of them. But I really did step away for quite a while. I didn't really start getting back into it until I was out in, well, I did, the films in 06 and 07 that came out in 08, Idioms and Dead End and 401 Liberation Front and Santa Croce and all those things, Legend of Drunken Monk by Ace Jordan and, and all of that stuff. And then I stepped back out of it for a while. And it wasn't until about 7 years ago I wrote and directed a play for, one of the conventions, Program of Recovery. And I wrote and directed a play called Snow White and the Seven Character Defects. And even that didn't really push me back into it. It wasn't until I sat down with Jeremy and he was telling me about his stuff that really, kicked it in and said, this is what I need to be doing.
Everybody, will be right back with more Scarefest Radio. One more celebrity announcement, and I'll turn it over to Jason to close the show out after that. Be right back.
Everyone is talking about CBD oil. Most of us know that CBD is a cannabis compound that has significant medical benefits, but does not make people high. Its benefits include pain relief, anti-seizure properties, anxiety relief, fights cancer, reduces the risk of diabetes, and it is even used as a sleep aid. Blue Leaf Naturals CBD and hemp products are full-spectrum hemp extract oils. They use only hemp grown in Kentucky, supporting Kentucky farmers and businesses and helping you and your family stay healthy and well. Blue Leaf Naturals, created with care from seed to shelf. Visit their website at blueleafnaturals.com. Blue Leaf Naturals, a Kentucky proud company.
And welcome back to Scarefest Radio. Don't forget Blue Leaf Naturals. Go to their website. They've got distributors all around the state. So if you don't want to mail order it, you can actually pick it up in person, including at the upcoming Mystical Fair Lexington. Akashic Awareness. I keep reminding people about Akashic Awareness. It's a metaphysical healing and learning center in Elizabethtown, Kentucky. It's like nothing else you've ever seen. A large selection of crystals, gems, and minerals greet you the minute you walk in the door. Right about the time their cute little puppy dog Raven, the official greeter of Akashic Awareness, wags his tail. But from that point, once you walk in the door, you're not under any pressure. You're not under any judgment. These people will show you what's available to you. They might guide you to a favorable outcome, something that will help you out. But there is no pressure and there is no judgment. Check them out. Elizabethtown, Kentucky, AkashicAwareness.com, and upcoming events at the store. They're closed for the holiday right now. But the next event coming up, July 11th, Rachel Cintron will be doing her massage. You've got Reiki with Nancy on the 11th. So there's several things on the 11th, but if you go to AkashicAwareness.com, they've got that upcoming events calendar all ready for you. Our final celebrity announcement of the evening, not of the show, not of the expo, of the evening. Mr. Lee Majors, the $6 million man himself. One of those stars, his horror chops will give him Ash versus the Evil Dead. But people in the sci-fi world, Lee Majors, and he was married for a while to what I still consider the most beautiful woman on the face of the earth ever. Before, after, I'm sorry, Farrah Fawcett was, when I was a teenager, there was no one else on earth that could compare to Farrah Fawcett. So, there that is. But Lee Majors is coming. Once again, you know him. The Fall Guy. I don't remember him in Scrooged. He was in Scrooged, and I do not remember him in Scrooged. But the Fall Guy, $6 million man, and you know who Lee Majors is. That's enough. You know who he is. So he's coming to Scarefest XII, Scarefest 12, Scarefest 2019. Jason, over to you.
All right, so I'm looking through through IMDb again here, and I'm seeing one called The Secret Agent Dingledorf and His Trusty Dog Splat. I got to hear about this one.
Mm-hmm. Okay, that actually, it's funny you bring that up. Yeah, that was a film that I was, I'm just a background in that, just something, fun to do. I didn't have anything else going on at the time, so I figured, a buddy of mine put out a casting call on his social media, on his Facebook, and I hit him up, and I was like, dude, I'm so interested. And if you look through my profile, you'll see the pictures of the clown, which looks really fucking creepy, and very scary, but the actions were very slapstick. It was very Three Stooges type shit. So it was really a lot of fun to work on that one.
So is that more of like a children's type film, or is that going to be something,
The way they explained it to me is that it is basically a kid's version of Killer Clowns from Outer Space.
Okay, yeah, I'm gonna say to see that now because I love Killer Clowns. So, yeah, because I kept looking at that. I was like, this movie sounds badass. I'm like, this one, I'm not really sure if it's a kids movie or. So I had to ask about that one. So but yeah, you were talking about we touched on Evil Lurks and everything. And you want to touch more upon that? I know you said that you got a message about that one and.
Yeah, definitely. Aaron Hawkins hit me up, and he wanted me to know that if you guys love the psychological horror stuff, then you're going to love his film Evil Lurks. It's definitely a psychological film. It kind of breaks into the paranormal a little bit, but it not really a whole lot. It's definitely inside your head kind of film. So definitely be on the lookout for that one. And then of course as I was talking to you guys off camera during the commercial break, that I was told I could go ahead and announce that I do have the character of the mayor in Winter Haven. So that's going to be an episodic, and I'm looking really forward to that one as well.
Nice, yeah. And of course, now anybody's interested, Evil Lurks is actually being released. Looks like in 2020, so it's still, I guess, still in current production there. Right. And looks like as far as Normal Terror is going to be released, it says 2019, so I guess that's probably I'd say closer towards the end, maybe fall, winter, maybe or.
Yeah, we're shooting for Halloween. I'm hoping we can get everything done by then, because it's going to be a process. We have you guys were talking about Friday the 13th. I currently have a letter of intent from Harry Manfredini to write an original score for me, who's a musical genius behind Friday the 13th.
Oh, absolutely.
He's written all of their scores in like 200 other films, so he's a genius at what he does. And I'm really excited about that. But if we can get everything done and get posts done and, meet our budget and pay these guys out for, what they're worth, then yeah, we'll definitely have it out there. My executive producer Eve Gray is working on distribution and our pitch pack and all that stuff to try and get a full theatrical release. But a lot of that goes to the fans. If we create a following and make it something that they just can't ignore anymore, we have a much better shot of getting a full national theatrical release or worldwide theatrical release, like Terrifier should have had. It definitely should have. I understand they went through Netflix and they've done good through there. They just made their budget for Terrifier 2. I'm really excited about that. But it was because of the word of mouth and how that spread on on Netflix of what that film was, that character has become an icon now. And I'm hoping to do the same thing with Sam Neill from Normal Terror.
That was going to be my next question. Was, are you guys going to shoot for like film festivals or like you said or like worldwide release or?
I definitely think we're probably going to hit a few film festivals unless we sign a distribution deal prior to. I have some things in the works right now, trying to get some big name music in, for the soundtrack. So I can't quite talk about that yet. But we've already talked and secured Amazon, a deal with them. We've talked about getting that on there. So it's not too difficult to get it on there. But either way, I'm going to be excited that that we finished it, we got it out, and we hope we pick up a bigger fan base than we already have. We've got some of the best fans in the world that are following us. They're very diehard. Now they're following our podcast and all that fun stuff. We talk about horror and we got a bunch of really cool guests coming up on that show. My co-hosts are phenomenal. I love them to death. Once again, that's Rhiannon Nicole and Lance Wagner. And we have a blast. We love what we do, and we're just looking to have some fun and create some new stories and get some new stuff out there that hasn't been done before.
I'm trying to find your the podcast as well, and I'll post that here in the group page there so everybody can jump on and check that out too. Let's see, let's copy that and I'll post that in the chat there. So if you guys want to check that out and like I said, show them some support there, would be awesome. And yeah, because I kind of I was thinking about the whole theatrical releases and stuff. Because me personally, I'm kind of a homebody. I don't go out to theaters much, so I like Amazon and Netflix as far as I found a lot of great I guess stuff that flies under the radar these days. They may get like some more like film festival kind of releases or something, but most of the time they usually end up on streaming, which like I said, thrills me to death. Because I don't really get out much, but and it's either because I'm trying to avoid dying at this point, or just because I just don't get out and do a whole lot. So that's why I was kind of curious if if you guys are doing a theatrical release and stuff. I would love to go find a place around local that would show it. And unfortunately, we don't have a whole lot of theaters that show a lot of the low budget stuff or even the indie productions and everything, which which is really irritating because that's what I prefer to watch.
Right. Well, believe it or not, we're actually shooting for a $1.5 million budget for this film.
So that's like I said, as far as the streaming part of it, I think that would be awesome on my part because, like I said, I'm kind of a bit of a recluse anyway. So, yeah, I mean, like I said,
it definitely will be on there.
Amazon's a good platform. I've seen a lot of good. I mean, I actually made friends with a lot of the directors and stuff on some of the movies that I had seen on there, and and of course they're and they seem to have, like you said, they have a strong follower base now. And and I'm glad because that's you guys need the support. You guys are what's going to bring horror back and what's going to really show what I guess the unsung heroes of horror are going to bring back in what fans want to see. I mean, because like I said, these days it's all paranormal or big budget or remakes or reboots. So I personally, I mean to go ahead and that sounds like I'm ranting here, but I'm excited to see it. I've been excited to see it, so that's why I'm hoping maybe if if it'll get a shot, if it comes on streaming, I'll promote the hell out of it. So I mean, but of course that's what I do. Like I said, I love when you guys come up with original ideas like this.
Well, and we've had a lot of support too. We did a interview with the Gore Zone not too long ago. Fits of Horror has done an interview with me. My Indie Productions is a huge supporter of indie film. # support indie film. So we definitely have a lot of support. Neon Bloodbath has supported us. Horror Reviews by the Collective has supported us and done a review. And this is just on the trailer. So we've gotten a lot of good feedback on that. But we do have some new stuff coming. I'm getting ready to put out a more typical style trailer, if you will. We're getting ready to get back in and start filming again, as we get the budget comes in. Like I said, we do have some investors, involved, and we're looking for more to try and get it done. But it's the fans that bring it in and create it. So if the fans call for it, they go and beat down the doors of the theaters or the production offices or whatever else, then we might get noticed. But either way, I'm happy with our following, and if we go straight to video on demand, and streaming services, I'm okay with that. At the end of the day, I'm accomplishing a goal in my life. Bucket list item, and I'm having a whole hell of a lot of fun doing something that I love doing.
So as far as if somebody wants to chip in there and support, is there like a GoFundMe or something that you guys have out there? Or
we do currently have a GoFundMe, and you can also reach either me or my executive producer Eve Gray to talk about how we can work out financing. We currently have a 5-tier system, starting at little amounts all the way up to executive producer status with $10,000+ of investment. And we're offering a different ROI depending on each one. So if somebody out there is interested in financing the film, being an executive producer, and donating to the cause, and helping us create this masterpiece, what I'm hoping it's going to be, then yeah, definitely hit us up. You've got my links, in my IMDb or my email or the production email or the podcast. I mean, I'm all over social media, so you can find me some way.
And so we'll and I'll definitely post that in here so that way if if anybody's interested. And I know several of my friends on here actually are big indie supporters, so I know they would probably love to jump on board with that. And especially seeing the trailer and everything, the mystery from the trailer anyway. That's enough to draw somebody in there. So, but Wes, are you still there?
No, I went to bed. That's what I do. I'm a country boy. I gotta get up and move hay in the morning. Anyway, everybody, this has been Scarefest Radio. We want to thank Mr. Sam Iam Mason for coming on and talking about his new project, Normal Terror, coming out. Target date of Halloween of this year. And if you want to follow the adventure, sacrificialpawnproductions.com. Sacrificialpawnproductions.com, or Google his ass. Look him up on Facebook. Sam Iam Mason. Everybody, this has been Scarefest. We are in the run-up now. It's like September will be here before you know it. And that means that my life becomes a living hell because everybody sends me all the crap they haven't done yet that we could have done in like January. So, come back and see us next week. We'll be here just like we were supposed to be.